So I have been using this all new iPadOS 26 from quite few days now, and it is still in a developer beta. And today in this video I just wanted to give you my reviews and my thoughts about the very same update by Apple. No doubt a lot of people have made a similar video about the same thing as well, but I just wanted to contribute myself because I'm someone who is pretty much used to his iPad a lot, and this is one device that I just carry around everywhere that I go. This is still an iPad M1 generation one, so this is not the latest thing, but this is still a pro device, an 11 inches model with the M1 model, and I think so even with this all new liquid glass design, this can just handle everything in the fastest way that you can imagine on an iPad. So the number one thing is again the design, as I just mentioned, and you will see a lot of features that are now shared with the latest macOS update, that is the macOS 26. I think they call it Tahoe or something. I don't think so that I'm spelling it correctly, but yeah. Also the iOS 26 is one of them. That is again a lot of features are the same as that one, so a very similar glass morphism design that you are seeing on this device. I think so the first time that we saw this glass morphism was with the Windows Vista devices, but as you can see over here that I'm using the clear icon design. Let me turn off the brightness a bit. So yeah, so I'm using this glass design, the clear coat on this one, because I think so that it does look sick, at least on the larger screens, because I'm just not enjoying this clear design or the clear paint of coat that we have got on the devices like the iPhones. But I think so it does look pretty sick in the iPad OS and the Mac OS, just because it is a larger screen and it just does not look ugly when light is shimmering through the different elements of the UI, the icons, the toolbars, and so much so. But you still get the same issues as with iOS 26 as well. Just for example, that if there is a text that is a bit more lighter one, even though that the UI is intelligent to switch the text from light to dark and dark to light depending on what is in the background, and that is how it is working. But in a few of the cases the notifications are still light, and when it goes through the lighter parts of the wallpaper that is on the behind of the scene, it does make it very hard to read. I think so that Apple can just fix it with the software update. Again, this is a developer option and people would be just giving their reviews, and Apple would be fixing that what is broken with this all new glass design. And I am just very happy that Apple has taken over this project, because I did not really hate Vista, but again at the same time I am a big fan of the flat icons, and that is one thing that I keep on saying again and again. But again, this is something new, and this is something that I just want Apple to innovate on and bring this thing to its near perfection. Now the next thing is that the lock screen on this thing is also one of the part of the UI that I just want to talk about, because again the lock screen is now compatible with the spatial scene feature that is also available in the images as well. So now if there is a photograph that you want to change into a spatial scene, you can do it right from the lock screen, which is amazing because it just allows you to give a bit more depth to the entire scene, and also you can adjust the zoom in and out as well. But also what is very much interesting over here is that the entire lock screen, it also works like a liquid glass as well. So when you turn on and off your lock screen, you will see that there is now a shimmery kind of effect that is there on the time portion of the screen, which is great. But also the general icons like the camera thing or the phone thing or any other icon that you basically adjust for the lock screen, it will again be into a glass effect. But what is more interesting is that this new UI is very much capable of recognize that what is the subject and what is the background. So let us say that you just want to put yourself as the main photograph on your iPad. What it will do is that it will recognize you, and if it is not a spatial scene, it will adjust the clock, or I would say not just the clock, the timer part of the clock on the home screen to be just on behind of me. And even when I will just scroll up and down on the notifications, or if I just swipe all the way up, it will just decrease and increase the size of the time on the lock screen. But also if you just are into the spatial scene or something else, you can elongate it manually if you just want to. So again, a very good thing, and I just think so that it just makes the lock screen feel a bit more dynamic and not something that I've really seen in the other devices. I might be wrong about it, but again at the same time it just feels a bit more natural, because the animations and the glass effect is just very much built well to the perfection. Now the other part of the UI where you will see a major change is in the taskbar. So if you just see over here, you will see again it is a bit more like what you have already got on your Mac OS, and again it is shimmery and it is again the same glass effect. I think so that it does look a bit more cartoony just because the edges that they have given to the glass are a bit more sharper. Again, just my thought, but not what is really bad on this thing. But also now you can customize the home screen on your iPad OS just like the iOS 26 update and whatever we have on the iPhones and the Mac OS. Now you can also customize the icons on the iPad OS as well. So you just need to go to the customize icon and then you can choose from having the default icons that in my opinion are a bit more cartoonish, but also you can choose it from clear and tinted as you can see over here in this video. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is the dock on this all new iPadOS 26, and now it allows you to put about 23 icons in the dock, and it just makes it a feel bit more like what we already have on the Mac OS as well. But one more thing that is interesting, and I just did not thought about Apple bringing it to the iPad OS, is that now you have got the option to add the folders into the dock as well. So let us say that now you have got this download folder in the dock of your iPad OS 26. Now what you can do is that you can just click it like what you are doing on the Mac OS as well, and it will just give you a list of files that is there inside of the folder. The next thing that I want to talk about is the stack manager on this new iPad OS 26, which makes it feel a bit more like the Mac OS and the thing that we have been seeing from the longest time. So now what you can do is that you can choose to use between the new stage manager, or you can just stack the windows just like the way that you do on the normal Mac OS as well. And I just do not use the stage manager a lot, but one thing that I just really like about on this thing is that the option is still available. But anyway, that I am just going to use the stack windows thing, which just makes the entire UI to feel a bit more like that what we have already got on the Mac OS, because now you have also got the options to resize, minimize or close a window, and whenever you just bring the window back on the home screen, it will be into the same size, which is just amazing. But also now, just like the Mac OS have been in the longest time, you can also long press on the resize option and you will just get different options like move and resize, fill and arrange. And again, it just allows you to just move and resize your screen to the different portions of the screen, and also fill and arrange according to whatsoever the layout that you just want to be. I think so if it is vertical, you can just do 3 at one time, and if it is just horizontal one, you can do 4 at one time. But also one another thing that has come with this all new the stack windows option is a menu bar option for the application. So almost all the applications, depending on what application you are on, there will be different menus. For example, if I'm into some kind of thing like a LibreOffice or a Microsoft Office thing, or even the notes application, you will see the options like the file, edit, format, view, window, help, etc. Depending on the applications, if you are into Safari, you might also see the options like the bookmark option and so much. So I think so it is pretty much intelligent, and I'm not too sure if at this point even the applications that are already there were optimized for this thing. And I think so that this iPad OS is just forcing a menu and just bringing all these options to be able to edit, which is one thing that is just great. Now one another thing that I just noticed on this all new iPadOS 26 is the app expose feature, which is just like the task view as what we have already got on the Mac OS as well. So all the applications that are already open and recessed into a particular way, it will just be shown into the same way. If we just swipe up and hold the screen for some time, it will just show you what all are the windows that are there on the task view. But also you have got for another gesture, if you just swipe up from one of the applications that you're already using, or if you just have got 2 or 3 applications on the home screen, and if you just swipe up, it will just arrange or scatter the applications on either side of the home screen, and then you can just open any other application that you want to and to be added onto the home screen. But now one more thing that I want to add to this video that does make this entire experience a bit more like the Mac OS is the way that the cursor works. And now gone is the circle icon that we have been seeing on the iPhones and on the iPad OS from the longest time. That does make both of them actually a bit more similar. Now we have got an actual cursor on this iPad OS 26, which does make the clicks a bit more precise than what we already had on the iPad OS, I think so 18.5 or something that I was running before. Now another application, Now this is not a surprise to me because I just had a clue about that this new my file application would just get a new overhaul, and it would be just a bit more like what you already have on the macOS system. And all that it means is that now you can use this files application just like a regular macOS device, which means that you can resize the different columns. You can see that what is the get information thing between the different files and the folders. You can also do the drop down on the folders if it has got multiple files inside of it or multiple folders inside of it, and you can see the entire tree structure of whatever is there under that main folder, just like what you have already been doing on the Windows system and the Mac systems from the longest time, which also means that now you do not have to open each and every folder to see that what is inside of it. And also now you can change the color of the folders, you can just change the emojis of the folder and just change the different attributes that you just want to do on the folders option, which is again one thing that I was not hoping Apple to do, but they just did it in the very best way. Now, one more thing that just adds to this entire experience is the way that Apple has redesigned all the applications and the native applications that I'm talking about, just like the Photos application, the phone application, the calendar application. It is just amazing. And also, I think so that the biggest rehaul that we have got is in the camera application on this device, because not just like the iOS 26, you have got the more transparent design, you have got the different options to swipe from photos to video and so much so. But also another major thing that I see onto this device is the inclusion of the phone application, which is again one thing that is available on the macOS as well with this latest update, which means that it will be a unified view for every other thing that you do on this device. For example, if you just want to do a FaceTime, or if a FaceTime was already favorited to one of the contacts on your list, you will be able to see it as a unified view on this new phone application. If it was going to WhatsApp, it will be carried forward to that thing, and you can just select between the different options to choose that what you just really want to do with that particular application. Now in my case, I do not use an iPhone a lot. My primary device is this Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, which means that there is not a bit of continuity between my iPhone, my iPad and my macOS thing that I have back on me. Which is just fine for me, but it is again one of the features that will be useful to a lot of people. But one application that I think so that does look sick on this new update is the inclusion of this new Photos application, just like what we have on the iOS 26 update. Now it is a bit more cleaner, and again, just like all the other applications, we have got this floating bar design on every other application that is designed by Apple. And I think so that the similar applications will be the way that the new applications that are coming to this iPhones and this iPadOS, it will be designed in the future, which means that there will be a lot more space to work with. And again, this glass design, it will just shimmer through that whatever is there in the background. Again, a very iOS 26 like feature, but something that is available on this device. Now a few other features that I just want to wrap up this video with is the features like the new messages application, and just like the iOS 26 update, now you can just do the group pulls, the group chats. You can use the Apple cache to paste someone in the chats. Also, you can change the background of the iMessages application as well. You will get the same features like the translate option as what you have already got on the iOS 26 update as well. And also, just like the iOS 26 update, you have got the features like the hold assist feature and the call screening feature on the FaceTime application. And also, you can just block the unwanted contacts. And also in the messages application, you can do the very same thing, that if there is a sender that is unknown to you, you can just mark it as the unknown sender and there will be a separate list for the very same thing. But also you can change the source of the microphone, which is one thing which is, I think so that if you are an iPhone user or an iPad user, you know that it was just one of the biggest pains. But now you can just switch the microphone from internal microphone to whatever is the external source that you just want to be selected on this iPad if you're just editing some kind of video in iMovie application or the Final Cut Pro application, because now you can just choose the source in a bit more better way than just having to test everything manually. So yes, you can just do the voiceovers in the best way, because now again, as you can just switch between the different microphones, which is easier than before. But now the question is that people are saying that this is now a bit more like the macOS thing, but is it really like the Mac OS or no? It is one thing that is a very different perspective for different people. Now for someone like me, if I'm just editing videos and multitask to just use the YouTube application and the web browser application at the same time, I think so that yes, it is a big improvement and it is a bit more like the Mac OS. But on the other hand, you can still not install the fully fledged version of the applications that are there on the Mac OS. For example, if you just want a full version of Adobe, just like the way that it works on the Mac OS, it is not available. You can cannot download the full version of applications like Xcode or the Android Studio or the Visual Studio Code or the GitHub. Again, you have got GitHub, but it is not the full version. You can still synchronize everything, and you can still use the workarounds like using the Android Studio in the browser instead of having the fully baked application, using some of the other applications like Replit to code or maybe the Visual Studio Code inside of the browser as well. Again, you can synchronize it with the GitHub as well, and just a bit of mess in my opinion, but coding is still possible. But yes, I just do not think so that it is still to the point where I can say that it is actually a replacement to the Mac OS, or it is just the same way as Mac OS with a bit of different GUI. And the answer is just no, because it is and it will never be the replacement to the Mac OS until and unless we will get the developers to hop on to this OS and build the fully baked applications like again the Visual Studio Code, the Android Studio, and all the other applications that you use in the day-to-day life for coding, and the fully baked server of X11 application, a fully baked terminal. And again, this is just a very different architecture to work on, and just to think yourself of like, hey, now you can resize everything, or you can just have the full control on the files application. It just does not mean that it is a Mac OS, because it is just not. And well, now with that said, that was all that what I wanted to share about in this video. I know that this was a pretty long video, but in the end I just wanted to make sure that I just cover everything that what I experienced with this device. It is a great option, a great update, and I just like the glass design on this iPadOS more. You cannot still code the same way as what you can do on the Mac OS, but it does feel a bit more like the Mac OS just because of the way that you can just resize the windows. You have the options for minimizing, maximizing, and the different options into the menu bar of the different applications. So yes, it feels like Mac OS, but it is not a Mac OS, and that is the verdict for this video. That was all about this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.